Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 did in fact use generative AI in their development of the game, and it was actually reported back in April, but unfortunately went under the radar for a lot of people, myself included. And I was actually called out in a video the other day when I was talking about Larian doing the same thing using generative AI during the early concept art stages. So I just wanted to talk about this here. Now, before you get your pitchforks out, it does seem like this was an accident as it was replaced within the week of its launch. So basically what it was, there was these newspapers that were on the polls here and they were AI generated. Now, there are some people online saying that this was like Unreal Engine assets that were just, they didn't know, and that's why it was like removed so quickly. And unfortunately, it could have been that, but it just really does seem a bit unfortunate how much of the early stages of game design now is generative AI. The thing is, people are saying, oh, but it's just placeholders, this isn't a big deal. The thing is, if it's a placeholder, you could easily have just put like a bright pink rectangle there or something just to notify yourself to replace in the future. This is where it becomes a slippery slope that I want to talk about, and kind of the message I was talking about with Larian is that, where do we draw the line when it comes to AI? And I do want to make it clear, there are some uses for it which are very useful. Like it's the mundane tasks. Like if you have a model that you want to rig the skeleton to and animate it, there's AI ways you can use your learning model to be able to do things like that, where it's not like a generative stolen concept from artists. So I just want to say, as much as AI does suck, it does have some places where it can fit in. But there's a line to be drawn when it comes to creative works like the concept art for games, like the very earliest stage. I've seen a lot of people defending it because they said, well, it's just the early stage. It doesn't mean it's going to be in the game, but that's literally the foundation you're building your game upon, is something that's taking, like, it's almost like the mind flare tadpoles in Baldur's Gate 3. I saw someone comment that. It's giving it a soulless version of it that's just derivative of other things. And I also saw a lot of people talking about like the Industrial Revolution and machines and things like that. Now, I want to make it very clear, there's a big difference there when it's something that's predetermined. Like when you're building a car, that car is predetermined and the machines are building what they know to build. When it comes to AI in the creative area, it's actually the AI that's becoming the product there, and that's the difference between the two situations. Unfortunately today, though, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2's lead writer has spoken on Larian Studios' use of AI, and they're doing something that absolutely everyone else is doing. I'm no fan of AI generated art, but it's time to face the reality. And this, unfortunately, this is the reality that we're now living in 2025. Every single company has to use AI, it seems, in order to stay competitive. But the thing is, like, we just got Baldur's Gate 3, which had no AI. I don't think there was any AI in that game, and it came out a masterpiece, a fantastic game. Now, not every company can capture the lightning in a bottle, but it is becoming more regular in gaming, and other countries across the world, like China, for example, is really heavily investing in AI. So it's kind of a concept. Do you like keep up with AI, or do you reject it fully because your competitors are going to be using it? And that's just something that I guess a lot of people are now realizing in gaming because it's just becoming so regular. This actually blew up from the Bloomberg article here with Sven Vink from Larian. He says he's been pushing hard on generative AI. And yeah, when I voiced this, I wasn't the biggest fan of it because, again, the generative AI is being used in the early concept art stages. And there are some people that it says the use of generative AI has led to some pushback, but I think at this point, everyone in the company is more or less okay with the way we're using it. Kind of a vague wording on that again. Now again, they won't be having AI-generated content in Divinity. Everything is human actors. We're exploring everything ourselves, but the creators often use AI tools to explore ideas, flesh out PowerPoint presentations, develop concept art, and write placeholder text. He also says it hasn't led to very large gains. It's kind of funny. I actually did a bit of web design, and placeholder text, lorem ipsum, the Latin phrases that everyone uses in the web pages, it's like the standard. I literally had a hotkey that I would press and it would pop it out and paste it. So I don't really buy the whole placeholder text thing, because then what if you forget to remove the placeholder text? That's literally what happened with Expedition 33. I think that's where a lot of the pushback would be coming from, is like, okay, if we're doing it in the very early stages, when we're making the concept art, which the whole game is going to be based off of, where are we going to be drawing the lines there? And actually, after I made the video the other day, Jason Schreier here actually released some further context to the conversation with Sven Vink here, and I'm just going to quickly go through it because there's some points here that Sven Vink was making and people are trying to defend the opposite of. So he asked about generative AI, and he knows it's a point of discussion on the team. Do you feel like it speeds up production? In terms of generation, like lightboxing, which is the early phase of concept art they do, I'm not 100% sure you're actually seeing speed ups that much. You're trying to see more of the stuff, trying stuff out. I don't actually think it accelerates things. And he says that you see a lot where you initially get excited, could be cool, and then you say, oh, in the end, we know it doesn't work. And yes, he does again clarify there's not going to be assets in the game. They're using it to accelerate weight boxing. But I mean, to be fair, we're talking about basic things to help out with the level designers. And this is also brought up about concept arts being used by the concept artists. They would use it the same like we would use photos. We have 30 concept artists at this point or something like that. So we bought a boutique concept art firm at the moment that everyone was using, reducing them because we're going to AI. And they actually did end up hiring more people. And I want to mention that I did highlight that Larian did hire more people in that video. People were saying I was being very cruel and anti-Larian. I'm the biggest Larian fanboy. I spent hundreds of hours making mods for the game. But I do want to point out that there are sometimes issues with the way games are being made. And unfortunately, it's like the industry sweet child right now where everyone just wants to defend Larian without looking at things critically. And again, it's a very nuanced topic. And then he does again clarify that the artists keep asking for more concept artists, but what they do is they use it for exploration. So it is being used in the very early stages. But that's kind of what I was saying, is that if you're using like in the early concept art stages, like yes, I know Pinterest and other websites are oftentimes used, but using AI again kind of turns it into a mind flare. It's just a soulless recreation of other people's work. And that brings me to the next part. They're talking about placeholders and stub dialogue, and this depends on the scripter. In our case, what we do is whiteboxing means that the scripts put stub text in there. Some scripters will probably use ChatGPT. Some will write it themselves. It's really up to them. So yeah, that scripting, ChatGPT, there's actually people that were in the comments saying that no, they're not using ChatGPT for scripting and things like that, but literally it's said in this interview. They're not actually speeding things up though, but it's allowing for more experimentation, which is good, yeah, obviously, in certain regards. And he does make some points, like if you use ChatGPT, it helps you organize things. Like if you need bullet points for a PowerPoint, yes, I get where that's coming from. Like, and you will have to alter it yourself. He says he's not native English, so it's easier for him to make his phrases without mistakes, so it helps with that. And he does say that he does end up putting things through ChatGPT because he's not a native English speaker. And not to his company emails either. This is more so for like cleaning up his text, and what he does now is write with worse grammar now and then use it to clean it up. And Jason actually pushes back on this. He says your English is pretty good, and I agree. Like Sven's English is quite good. It's sad, but Jason then also brings up if it's not causing more efficiency, why use it? This is a tech-driven industry. You try stuff and you can't afford not to try things because if someone finds a golden egg and you're not using it, you're dead in this industry, which this is another point that I kind of have a bit of pushback on. Again, this is not related to Expedition 33. It's just related to the AI conversation in general. This is where things get dicey because they're talking about the use of AI, and then where does the line get drawn? There's no regulation regarding this stuff, and that's why it becomes a very slippery slope, because if you're using it in very early concept art design stages, what's to say it's going to make it into the next stage and the next stage? They may be saying that they're not going to do that, but you can't control all your employees that well. And I do understand that. At the same time, it's the employees too that are doing this, and artists, and like there's a lot obviously that goes into game design and the timeline on it all, but it's the early stages that this is seeping into now, and it's likely going to be seeping into other areas of game design as well. And then Jason does push back. The downside, though, is it's poisonous, controversial to players, to artists, to creative people in a way that other tech isn't. Maybe Photoshop used to be back in the day. And then Sven says you find the same argument back in the days. For a lot of things, right, anything that's already been automated has always been considered. I think that's the part of this job. We make sure you're competitive in the state of the art. So if you don't look at the state of the art, you'll immediately regret it. That's going to be worse for the developers. So yeah, Jason does bring up the fact that like AI obviously is like poisoning places nearby, and no, it's more so okay to have the competitive edge. And I guess the point I just want to make is like Larian's like the one to stand against AI, and there's a lot of reports going around their demon statue was like an anti-AI phrase. I can't actually find some real wording where they actually did say that, but it's been parroted a lot online, so I just want to, obviously there's a lot of misinformation going around this topic. And I guess it brings us to this: a firm no to artificial intelligence. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 devs don't hold back. A firm no to creative AI. At one point, a question related to game design itself. Broche has made it very clear the studio does not want AI involved in anything creative and isn't interested in anything made by artificial intelligence. So nothing from the game will come from AI. We say this clearly. It's a firm no from us. Well, yeah. This could have very well been a mistake. I just want to say that it's very likely that they would have used maybe some early assets, maybe from Unreal Engine. I've seen a lot of people saying that online, and they just didn't know. My thoughts are the company should probably just use something else if they're going to be replacing it later, because it's really easy to skip this, and then you just kill the goodwill of your game. But again, they said from a creative things, it must come from the heart. For us, it is definite no. Again, he can't control every single one of his staff. But yeah, again, we this did change here. Gene Park here shared this on Twitter. Expedition 33 team freely admits to using AI and just won the most awards in the Game Awards history. We use some AI, but not much, Francois says, producer of Clair Obscur. And in a video conference, he said this is something we're very clear in what we wanted to do and wanted to invest in. Of course, technology has allowed us to do things that were unthinkable in a short time ago. Unreal Engine 5's tools and assets have been very important in improving the graphics, gameplay, and cinematics. So yeah, we use some AI, but not much. A firm no to AI. I'm not sure where this message is going, but I don't like where things are headed. Now, I also just want to mention that a lot of people said that I hate Baldur's Gate 3. I love that game. But Jennifer English also pushed back against AI in games because flaws are wonderful. She's literally in Expedition 33 as well, so I thought I'd bring this up. As well, 2 days ago, Astarian's actor Neil Newbon doesn't get why games like Arc Raiders using dull as hell AI voice for work don't go back and actually redo the work with actors once they make it big. So yeah, there's people literally that were in Baldur's Gate 3 and Clair Obscur that are calling this out. So I just wanted to talk about this because I got a lot of comments saying that I was just hating on Larian, and I want to make it again very clear, I love Larian. I work on mods to make the game even better for the players because I love what they did with the game, and we should ask for more from game developers. I don't think that there is really a place in the concept art creation when you're using the very essence of what you're going to be building the game upon. Using AI during that stage, you may say there's no AI in the final product. It's already got its hands, it's seeped its way into it. That's my thoughts. I just hope that others see it that way too. The thing is, the games are not going to get any cheaper for us. The companies and these multi-million-dollar companies, we're going to make more money because of this. Larian Studios, great on them for hiring more artists, but every other company out there is firing people because they can make it cheaper now using AI. The game's not going to get any cheaper for you guys, though. The credits are going to be shorter, and that's just unfortunately the reality we're living in. Yes, there's some good uses for AI out there. I won't deny that, but creative, generative AI, I don't think they go together. It should be more for the mundane tasks. I'm sure this video is going to lose me a bunch of subscribers again, but I just want to call out these things as I see them because I think we deserve better as gamers with how things have been going the last few years and the massive layoffs that have been happening, and companies, multi-million-dollar companies looking to cut costs wherever they can and take every shortcut that they can. And I do again want to admit that I do think this was an accident for Expedition 33. They were likely using Unreal Engine's assets, and maybe there was stuff in there that's AI generated. Adobe does not have the greatest recognition on what is AI versus what's not AI. It seems like a genuine mistake, so I'm just going to roll with that. Unfortunately, there's other developers out there that are really hard on the AI bandwagon, but we'll, I guess, have to see how this next year unfolds. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hope you guys all have a great day, and we'll see y'all in the next one.